along with his team via a recent acquisition of Kiro Software, which is a New Hampshire-based application services company. We're extremely excited to have Jeff and his team be part of Versatile. This is the first of many webinars that we'll be doing around application services over the coming months. And like I said, we're really excited that Jeff and team are part of Versatile. And without further ado, welcome, Jeff.
Thanks, Frank. Welcome, everybody. Today we're going to talk about application services, specifically around the SharePoint Health Check and Intranet Jumpstart. Our application services division is new to Versatile, but something that I've been working with them as a partner through a company that was owned and operated by myself called Kiro Software. It was a New Hampshire-based SharePoint-centric application development services company. And we joined the forces here at Versatile as of June 1st, and we're spreading the word, and we're glad that you could make it. A little bit about myself. My name is Jeff for over 20 years, and I specialize in application architecture within manufacturing organizations through to highly regulated healthcare and banking industries. So a lot of different industry initiatives that I've done over the years have helped provide architecture solutions that allow applications to scale, and that's been through SharePoint as well as .NET applications. Back in the day, also Java and various other technologies, so I can speak highly to those as well. My passion is providing value to the business, optimizing various processes within an organization through the use and integration of software systems. Oftentimes we find that folks have disparate systems and just need to integrate. Oftentimes we find that the data is just trapped and we can't get to the data, and that's where our solutions come into play. The major point to take away is it's always focused on business outcome. It only makes sense if it helps the business, so that's where the ROI comes from. So our services right now that we're focused in on are SharePoint, business intelligence, and application development. With SharePoint, we work with our customers to deliver strategic solutions while leveraging the SharePoint platform. So as I'll always say, is SharePoint is a platform. It's a ball of clay that allows us to mold it into whatever the client needs or desires, but that can range anywhere from an intranet portal to collaborative partner portals where the company's reach electronic window can go out into the community and allow them to collaborate more closely with security. So we provide guidance on the best practices and really prevent project failure. So we get help by senior management to get endorsements to ensure that they're plugged in at the very high level to ensure that the project itself has visibility and is sponsored. Typically within any application, you get better user adoption when there's some level of branding. The UI is nice and clean. SharePoint does a pretty good job at providing something that's very generic, but we often find that it gets better adoption when it becomes more like an application and less like just an out-of-the-box experience. So the key to having any project go well is obviously to define proper project scope with a delivery date so that things come in on time, on budget, and everyone's happy. The major thing that sometimes gets overseen is training. We need to deliver the end result, but also train the individuals on that end result. So that's a very important thing that we focus in on in any part of our business segments. Another area I'll speak briefly on is our business intelligence practice area. We work with the business, typically senior management, to set proper expectation by defining requirements that will set up the proper scope and declare success. So the one thing to say about these types of initiatives are they take a lot of time and tend to be expensive if you're doing true business intelligence, but you can do it in a phased approach and get ROI right out of the gate. So we define the ROI to senior management before we start anything, and then we deliver on various phases. Typically, we'll perform a discovery phase to understand the data and the desired outcome. So what is the company looking to achieve through what they're defining as business intelligence? And then we also educate the customers because sometimes they don't need business intelligence, they need reporting. So there is a difference, and we work with them to define what it is that they're really looking to do. And then we introduce delivery technology such as the Power Tools, which are the Power Pivot, Power Review, and Power BI, some of which are new. We provide services throughout the entire stack that you see on the screen there, anything from ETL which is extract, transform, and load into various systems to provide data that's meaningful. And finally, the area that is sort of, I guess, kind of a catch-all is application services or application development. We provide specific tools to fill gaps is the best way I could articulate it. This could be a custom ERP system for a biotech, which we've done, or an incident reporting system for energy companies, something that your company does slightly different that an out-of-the-box system may not be able to handle. And you either need to, put a shim around that or build something custom depending on how specific your business is. We know that they're not the same with every business, so we'll do an analysis and determine if it's something that we can augment an existing system, provide integration between systems, or sometimes it's creating a specific system, such as a homegrown CRM or a billing system. Oftentimes it's just connecting the two, your CRM to your billing system, and prevents dual entry of data. So the first service offering is our health check engagement. It was designed to help bridge the gap, the technology gap, for individuals that have SharePoint farms or environments, if you will, because we know as an IT professional, your skill sets can only go so deep in each business application, and SharePoint's really no different. Most environments are somewhat straightforward, but they do include 3 to 4 servers. Others that perform and have a scaling audience of 1,000 or 2,000 users might have 18 servers within the farm. So if you have something that's that large, really trying to understand each piece and component is very complicated because there's a lot of services that run, and on 18 servers you're spreading the load against many servers, and really understanding how that load is contained or managed throughout the farm is very, very important. Our first health and check engagement will provide a remediation list. We'll discuss those items which will be resolved given the project budget. So those items that we find that are problematic, we're going to talk to you about, and we're going to come up with a list, prioritize those lists, and oftentimes it's a divide and conquer approach. Once the farm has been optimized and the pain points remediated, additional scopes of work might be created, or oftentimes are created, to work on other projects such as user adoption. We might be leveraging branding in that particular engagement, or the use of document management. Sometimes folks are not using document management in the best practices methodology, so metadata and content routing. So we'll take a look under the hood, and we'll note those things as well. And subsequent health checks, which are basically done after the first one, are typically geared to make sure that the environment is prepared for proper growth and any sort of pain points that might have come up through a patching process. So we review the deployment configuration. Security is a big thing, and we ensure proper patches, as well as SQL configuration and tuning, search optimization, some of the things there. Just go through. All right. The first step is the interview process. Operational procedures, what people do, customizations, what has been customized on the farm. Do you have a backup process? Do you have a list of issues that you know about already? Oftentimes we get called in to do a health check because folks are having issues with something and they're not really sure, or the performance is not quite what they expect. So what is SharePoint being used for? What are the issues? What is your platform being used for is a big thing. If you're just using it for an intranet or a document management solution, that's important. The second step is gathering information. So we'll go through a set of homegrown custom SQL scripts and tools, Windows, SharePoint scripts, to gather information, and then we'll do a data gathering collection process that can last 1 or 2 days depending on how big the environment is or what the load is. After that, we go into an analysis phase. We're going to take a look at the results of those data points that we collect. We're going to prepare reports, and then we do an internal review here as a peer group. So if, for instance, we find an anomaly, we'll work within the group to determine, have we seen this before? If we have, we'll prepare a remediation to-do list. And then step 4 is presenting our findings. So we review the findings with the client. We help prioritize the remediation, and oftentimes they'll determine which is higher priority based upon the list that we recommend. And then when we do create health check finding document, it's typically organized in this fashion where we have a purpose and an overview, typically stating, the purpose for the health check is because there was an issue, state what those issues are. And it could be something that's a maintenance type health check that we do every 6 months with oftentimes with customers, and the purpose might be just to ensure proper patch levels and data integrity. We'll always take a snapshot of the environment, which is the farm topology, what the health looks like, and how the SQL database has grown. If we have historic data, we'll actually chart the difference in growth and provide sort of projections so that we can tell the data group. We might need to create another 3-par array or LUN. We might need to add memory. We might need to add a server to the farm because of usage, et cetera. And then the next steps are to review the short-term and long-term remediation objectives, as well as a summary. Once that's done, the document is prepared, we get into the 5th step, which is really the remediation, which for most is where the value comes, right? So one is knowing what the issues are, and we're experts. We come in, we tell folks what those problems are, but the value is being able to fix what those issues are. Sometimes it's caching, so you have object caching, blob caching might not be configured. If the server was installed out of the box, clicking next, 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 you're not going to have it optimized for sure. The other part is SQL Server. How is auto growth configured? Is recovery mode set up properly? And those are some of the things that we look at. Security is another very, very large thing to look at. Are the service accounts created and installed properly? Is it running under a single server service account as opposed to distributed service accounts that can have security applied appropriately? Is there enough SQL memory? Are backups being performed? How are the backups being performed? And most of the time in our conclusion statements, our work is not done, but it gives us a roadmap in which to follow up and continue to work with the client. So think of it as you do your initial check, you come up with a list of things, you hit through the high end or low hanging fruit depending on how it's prioritized, and then you schedule to have a follow-up call after the fact to make sure things are working better. You haven't come off the rails at any point in time. Something might have changed, another patch came into play. We'll schedule up a call and make sure that the customer's happy, you guys are happy with what we've done, and then we'll say we should probably meet in another 6 months to go through a similar exercise. Typically it's less involved because we've already gathered some of the information. So that's typically our process. Our second offering, and again we'll ask questions, or you can ask questions rather, at the end of the presentation. Our second offering is very, very popular in the fact that most companies either have or want an intranet, and SharePoint is a great platform, again using the word platform, to deliver content, but oftentimes where do you start? How do you create this page for the employees to want to visit versus a bunch of static links that are out there and doesn't really get updated? So what is an intranet? An intranet is a corporate communication hub, news, announcements. It can be either internal news, external news, HR benefits. It's a depot for policies and procedures. That's a really big, big draw. When you want to know how many vacation days do you have as part of your policy, what vacation or holidays are off for an organization. Do you get the Friday before the 4th of July this year, or do you get the Monday after the 4th of July? Those sorts of things, such as what is your primary care physician call-in number for Blue Cross Blue Shield of Massachusetts, so you can look up a PCP and maybe change doctors. All that relevant information is there. How often does the employer pay? Is it biweekly, bi-monthly, semi-yearly? I don't know, whatever it is. It provides you an opportunity to publish that information. Also, we find that it provides the ability to have links to other applications such as your ADP site, so that you don't have to distribute bookmarks to folks. It also has links through external feeds to Twitter, LinkedIn, and Yammer. So oftentimes what we found is a company may restrict Twitter from the organization within the firewall rules, but the company also posts feeds on Twitter, so it's kind of a catch-22 there. you can actually configure the SharePoint server to consume those feeds and sort of regurgitate them back to the end user without restricting firewall rules. So as we always say, sharing is caring, and that's what you want to do as an employer. And the way that we've organized that are 3 separate sort of buckets, and more to come in this offering as it matures. We get more feedback from customers. We'll continue to enhance the intranet offering by adding more widgets, etc. So the first is the announcements. Those are typically a quick post. It's a heads up. It tells the employee something such as I don't know, upcoming, there's going to be a bake sale or something of that nature, might be an announcement. It's not a full-fledged article. It's just something that they want to get out there. Employee spotlight, that's sort of an announcement of a person. It could, for your company, it could mean a new hire. It could be somebody that's having an anniversary, 10-year anniversary, or it could be an achievement. Certification within our organization's a pretty big deal. So if someone were to get Cisco certified, ShoreTel certified, Aruba Wireless certified, we'd want the other sales rep to know that our team is growing and we have more skilled or more qualified folks that the customer base can leverage. News itself, that's an interesting thing. It's typically by a category, and I'll show you some of these screenshots. But it can be either internal news or it actually can be external news. So we'll go through some of these screenshots as it's a little more exciting. We have a concept called a carousel, and a carousel itself you see on lots of pages. It'll swing through. It shows usually an image, and it has a tagline with a call to. So if you're a call out, if you click on something, you can put a button up there that says, maybe there's a webinar. This webinar we would put on our intranet and call it out to all the employees. If they wanted to join, they could join as well. It also provides a heads up to the sales rep that something's happening, and it promotes the webinar itself internally as well as externally. Typically, my guidance there is it has an actionable item. It rotates through. If anyone goes to MSN, you have that type of highlighted news article using that particular feature or carousel that rotates through. Other things are summer outings, open enrollment for benefits. You're going to go there. You're going to see those. It's going to catch your eye. It does allow you to kind of drive content to that page. The announcements, that's this area over here. So these are one-line things. Here's an example. Here's some bolded content. It's meant for some very, very, very lightweight content. Like, for instance, we put an article up there. Dan has joined as VP of Business Development. Please welcome me in joining Dan. So instead of doing a new face, if you didn't want to use that feature, you could have an announcement out there for new hires if you wanted to. We also have another widget called New Faces. Those are, again, we're using same purpose, different mechanism. And one of members of our team, Mike Smith, we just kind of had a call out for him and just to have some sample content out there. So we made up some sort of fake new faces here. We also created a say hello to Dan, so it will preload his email address. It pulls that from the system, and you can do a hello, or if you had link or something like that, you could put a SIP call out there and allow you to immediately join to Dan. The news articles, this is where it's category based. So we have travel, events, education, media, very generic topics, but these are all list driven. So in the background, you would create a list item and content within the article. They would show up on the home page based upon what is the most recent article. You can set it up how many you would like to show from each category. So maybe travel has 4 of them and they rotate through. It can do the rotation as well. Events might just show the latest event and not rotate through, just depending on how you would like to configure that particular area. And I'll show you a screenshot of the page in whole as well. If you click on either the image or the title, it'll bring you to a details page, and this is a very generic styled page. It was based upon a CEO letter with vacation, so it's the CEO from one of our clients. It was a demo that we provided from the CEO of GoDaddy, And it was a quote that was taken from this particular CEO, included a GoDaddy quote, and it was for some holiday time that was provided by the company. They do shutdowns, and as part of the shutdown, they're just kind of promoting why you want to relax and spend time with your family. So it's a recharge. And this was a news article rolled up as a CTO posting. So the CEO, not CTO. The CEO had a spot on that homepage and consumed one of those news article tiles and provided notes or letters, they call them notes from the CEO, and provided every single month they publish something about the particular company. One of the other areas that we got a lot of traction in, but we are continuously improving upon, is an employee search. So if you're a large organization that has 1,200 employees across many different locations, which is often the case, you have colleagues that you work with or are going to work with on a project that you have no clue of anything about them, where they are located, what their phone number is, etc. And this provides a way, instead of publishing an Excel spreadsheet with everybody's phone number and probably not even their email address, or what department they work under. It's just, how do I call this particular person? We've come up with a solution that leverages the profile information that's already stored in SharePoint and the search technology that SharePoint provides as well, but put branding upon it, right? So you can click on the A, B, C, Ds all the way across the top here. You can search by the person's last name. You can then filter by department. So if you're looking at all the Ds here for some reason, and there are 1,000 last name Ds, and you knew it was somebody in finance, but you didn't really know how to spell their last name, you could find them, and then it provides a picture of that particular person as long as it's being uploaded. So that's one of the things, and here's just kind of some other pieces. These are the segments. This is the refiner, the search, a little deeper drive into that. Additionally, department pages are something that are pretty big part of an organization. So our intranet offering provides elements for the home page, as well as elements and styling for departmental pages. So you'll have a home page with the widgets that I've shown so far, typically an employee search, news and articles, which will have sub-pages, and then departmental pages. I don't go too deep into the departmental pages, but to show some of the styling efforts, the next two pages will show that. But there are attributes that can be added to each one of the pages as you're authoring the content. Look, that look, feel a little bit quality than out-of-the-box SharePoint and text. So there are a bunch of digital assets that you can leverage through our branding, default branding styles, and we can build upon that as well. Additionally, I'll show you another one. This is kind of a department page, so it was IT, and the concept here was that each one of these boxes might represent business applications for IT. So go to the IT department, and maybe the green box is a launching point to their help desk ticketing system, and the other one might be for FAQs, or you click on this other darker box, and that might launch you to something else. Additionally, you can have various SharePoint lists as well as content items within there, but this is just kind of showing you that you have a variation of call-out boxes that you can add to any page. So our process, typically we start small and build out. So our jump start is designed to get a home page up and running, to get 2 departmental sites up and running, and then we reevaluate, we launch, and we get feedback. So we don't want to go through and build your entire intranet and miss a mark anywhere. So we typically will spend some time in the branding, so that's important. That promotes user adoption. We also will concentrate on the home page. So that's the page you want everybody to go to. And the reason to go to the intranet is so that the organization can present information as opposed to sending email blasts. We want to get away from sending emails and large content attachments and drive folks to use SharePoint and the intranet. So if you have a great intranet, people adopt the technology, and it's an immediate ROI on your SharePoint platform investment. 2 department pages. Typically, we'll do IT and HR. The reason is because IT is typically the folks that we're working with, and it provides us the ability to train the trainer and establish that relationship and get get sort of guidance immediately, and they're usually, they speak the same language as us, and will ask questions that will help them in the long run. And HR is typically someone we partner with for the pure reason that they have a lot of information that they need to send to employees, and we want to make sure that the latest and greatest information is always available to employees, and that includes policies and procedures, vacation time off, maybe request for vacation time off, and there is an opportunity oftentimes to create these small systems within SharePoint if there is a need for, say, a PTO, personal time off entry or request process, and it needs to be approved by the manager, and once the manager approves it, it shows up on a out-of-office calendar. Those sorts of things are very, very easy and don't require you to purchase an HR system, just to have the flexibility of having an approval for your vacation, and then for payroll purposes, you can always have a record of when someone went on vacation, because it's just a cumulative list. We always concentrate on current and future state, so navigation's a big thing of not distracting users and bringing them to the content that they need to get to quickly, less clicks. Though our project may only scope out 2 department sites, we'll help you to organize how many you'll have in the future, and then again, since we're working with IT, we typically train the trainer, and at that point in time, the IT folks will have the knowledge and somewhat of expertise. They'll still rely on us a bit, but oftentimes it's like riding a bicycle. You put the training wheels on, teach the person how to ride the bike, take the training wheels off. They may fall a few times, and we help them back up, and then pretty soon they're going down the road themselves and then looking to upgrade the bike. So the biggest takeaway from our process is the creation of content. No intranet is going to be successful if there isn't content. We can make it look beautiful and put dummy content like I showed, but you're never going to have a great value-added site unless we have content. So that's a really, really big thing. And we're not creating the content. We're coaching you through creation of the content. And if a project like this is ever going to fail, it's because the content wasn't uploaded. And that's what we focus on. We make sure it never happens. If you think you want an intranet but you don't know what to do with the content, we'll help you figure out material that makes sense to put in an intranet, and then you can organize sort of your thoughts beforehand, and then we can engage and create the intranet offering. And then after that, it's basically rinse and repeat and build out your content through various team sites, etc. So that's typically the process. And for our webinar attendees, if you sign up for a health check or Jumpstart, we're giving a 10% discount as a promotional component here. And if you have any questions, that's sort of our next thing. Frank, do you want to? Are we going to send out a follow-up to this particular webinar for folks and offer that dollar amount for the discount, or are we going to discuss that here?
Yep, we will send out a email to everybody that attended, and we'll talk about the promotion here, as well as there'll be a link back to a recorded version of this particular presentation.
Okay.
So we did a couple questions. I know we're right up against it, but I figure if we take an extra 2 or 3 minutes, if people want to hang on, they can, and they're pretty straightforward, and then we'll wrap it up. So one question I had, Jeff, was clients thinking about whether to do Office 365 or do it on-premise. Does it matter to you if it's a premise-based, cloud-based, or potentially even a hybrid solution to do a Jumpstart with, or how would you go about doing something like that?
Oh, sure. So for our intranet Jumpstart, it doesn't matter because we know those options are available. So we provided the tooling and the product that or tool set product for the Internet Jumpstart to work in any environment. It's leveraging best practices, development processes within Office 365, and they also work on-prem. So typically we'll target Office 365 functionality as far as content authoring, and then we test it on site because that's how we do development, and then we can deploy as various packages, WSP packages, how the software is distributed. So if it's on-prem, we can provide a remote desktop session, help the client deploy it. If it's in the cloud, we can act as a delegated admin and actually install it for the client to cut down some of the headaches that might be involved with actually taking the time. So it doesn't really matter. No.
Okay, great. Let's take one more here. So I start with the health check. Basically, you provide remediation suggestions as part of the takeaway, and then the client, they have an option to do the remediation themselves or actually continue with you and the remediation, or some sort of combination thereof. Is that a true statement?
Yeah, so with the health check itself, you will get a list of things that should be taken care of or addressed. In the review process, oftentimes there are Windows type server patches that need to happen or DNS changes or something along those lines. And it actually is more helpful if the client takes care of those because they actually have the access to those particular servers. Additionally, it's a good learning experience, so it may be something that is handled in a conference call or WebEx session or something of that nature. But yeah, we'll divide and conquer. We'll take the things that maybe you have expertise on, and you can go remediate those. We'll take ones that might need a little hand-holding and do them together, and then there's oftentimes things that just make sense for us to do. So it's a combination of the three.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Jeff, very much. Appreciate it. Job well done. Learned a lot myself. And everybody that attended today, thank you very much.